Well, there's a lot to talk about with the Chiefs' win over the New Orleans Saints. We're going to get into the details and answer your questions. Coming up next, this is RGR Football. Welcome in Chiefs Kingdom, and for all of you that are new to the channel, nice to see y'all here. There's tons of folks in the chat already, and I am very happy to see that. This is going to be a fun one. I had the headphones on. I just found out I don't think Dan's going to make it, but I'll probably just leave him on because out of habit in case he does. It's one of those things. We're going to get into your questions coming up very, very quickly as we look at where they move now from having beaten the Saints, one of the top teams in the NFC, and getting ready for that stretch run. And yes, this is the first time I've put Super Bowl 55 up in the title because that is clearly now the next step. It is about getting to the end and making that run. A lot of everything that they do right now goes into that concept. So if you're new to the channel, this is what we do on Monday nights. We answer your questions, whether it's me or me and Dan or whatever goes on. I'm Ryan. This is my channel, Ryan Going Rogue, where we talk about the Chiefs and the NFL at large. So make sure you like and sub and hit the bell notification now so you know what comes next. Tomorrow night will be stats. I'll actually probably put it up a little bit early so you guys know I am traveling to my in-laws for the holiday. Just one person, grandma over there on that side. And we're just going to go spend the holiday with her, try to keep away from anybody else. I know folks aren't supposed to be traveling and everything, but we're going to try to do that so that she's not all by her lonesome. So things will look a little bit different later in the week. For tonight, I'll just hit the normal kind of stuff. That said, all the new gear is available in the store. There should be a pinned link up there somewhere in the chat. If you want to help this Christmas, that's always helpful. If you want to ask a question, if you want to leave a super chat or a super sticker, please do. But make sure you ask a question, and I'll make sure to answer it. Aaron Morrow's in the chat, thankfully, our super moderator, the mod father, in order to keep me straight in case I miss things. And so I see that there's some questions in there now. I don't know if I can back up all the way, but we'll start with Yevgeny here in a second and just kind of roll from there forward. But I do want to say we will have film. We'll have stats tomorrow, then film. I'll try to do another piece of film for Christmas Eve, and then we'll have the game plan hopefully pre-recorded. If not, I might have to do another live stream on late Christmas night or, God forbid, Saturday morning from an undisclosed location. So be prepared. That said, we'll start with Yevgeny. Hope you're doing well, Yev. Considering that beating the franchise should the Chiefs eventually think about drafting another O-line in the first 3 rounds? I do think that they have to. I think the tackle class looks pretty thin. I think the interior class doesn't look a whole lot better, to tell you the truth. So I don't think it's going to be in the first round. I think it's going to be somewhere in the late 80 to 120 range. And that is dipping into the 4th as well. So keep that in mind. That said, we have some comp picks that are likely to come around. I think Kendall Fuller is going to earn this team a comp pick in the 3rd round. That's my personal thought. There's no insight into what the formula is, so I can't say that for sure, but that's my instinct. And I want to say that right up front. So that could certainly be a good use if you get an extra pick there in the top 100. If anything happens with the coaching staff, if Eric Bieniemy takes a job as a head coach somewhere else, they'll also get another top 100 3rd round compensatory pick in there. So keep that in mind. That said, for all you members, thank you for joining. We've gotten some new ones. I want to shout out the last couple. Iron Price came in the other day. Chemish, Keaton Ward joined. And so for you members, this week, I'll try to get a member video up for you. And that is kind of lower down so that more members get it. Remember, there are tiers to the memberships, the lowest one being in the live stream, so you can use the emojis and the chat icons, and you get the badges so that you're a member of the site and you're part of the inner circle. Beyond that, it steps up about what the content is. And this week's a little bit tough because of travels and whatnot, but I will get you guys some extra content. And then we'll be back to normal post-holidays where we're going to do a live stream members only, at least once a month, hopefully twice. And the same thing with the Zoom get together, where we actually have everybody on an outside call that we'll try to share with you guys as well. So if you consider being a member, thank you very much. I think it's pretty fun. We got a great crew going so far, and this channel is got the diehards that they're really wanting to stick around. I think that's great. This is going to be a fun next 8 weeks or so. So not even, man, I overestimated there. 6 weeks is all that is left. So let's get into that. Okay, next question, and I'll start moving through. And I'm going to try to keep it quick tonight so we get everybody in. I remember you're hyping L'Jarius pre-draft. He has surprised a lot of people. Yeah, he really has. And quite frankly, he even surprised me. I thought he was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to have this kind of impact as a rookie, to tell you the truth. He had all the skill sets. And for those of you that weren't here for last draft season, you can go back, just search Snead in the channel search box, and you'll find my pre-draft stuff on him. And it was very evident to me when I was studying Amik Robertson, the corner from La Tech, that Snead was the guy that actually fit this team because of his length, because his ability to play man, and because he spent his last season as a safety. And I think that's really going to show you some of his plays, picks, at least 3 PBUs by my count, have come out of zone, and that goes back to playing safety and being comfortable in space. So yeah, this is the affirmation of what I saw on film for him in the pre-draft process, and I'm really happy to see it. He has even surpassed my expectations for his rookie year. So more power to him. That takes a lot of work. Let's see, Chris, thoughts on people criticizing the Chiefs of how they win and not being able to cover the spread. The spread is for bettors. The spread means nothing for people in football. No one inside the NFL gives a rip how many points you win by, as long as you win. And that honestly is the same thing. For me, it is about making sure you get the W. Can it be ugly? Sure. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I would like bigger margins, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, especially this last run, especially the defensive they faced since the bye with Tampa and Miami and now the Saints, like, this has been a tough run. And I think that's it's indicative of them finding new ways to win and make sure that, like, being able to run like they did against the Saints was a big plus. So I will take it that way. Any criticism is just jealousy for the most part. So do you have any potential running backs that could plug into the roster or practice squad until CEH returns? I mean, I don't really think so. With McGuire and Washington both going elsewhere, I think that kind of limits what you can pull up. You're not going to find a guy on the street right now, so I don't think that's in the merits. It's really going to fall on Darwin if they have to go that deep, but I feel like they can move pretty well right now by upping Sherman's snaps and by using Darrell and Lev together. I think that's what they'll do. I don't know what the split will be. We'll get an idea later here in the week as they practice. But, Pono, this is a huge dodged bullet right here. Dodged cannonball, I said on Locked On Chiefs today. And for those of you who don't listen to the podcast yet, I'm the host of Locked On Chiefs and one of the hosts of Locked On NFL as well, so you can check those out. And I cover some of those topics on there too. And the fact that we're even talking about him returning this season is a huge plus. That looked like a groin rip to me. The fact that he's that flexible to take that injury, and now we're talking about a high ankle sprain, which is probably the player coming down, and the ankle, which was pretty much facing down, being flattened, that's a sprain. If the hip's just a sprain too, they're in pretty good shape. And getting him back in the playoff run, that's awesome. I think that's much more than you could have expected. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate it, and I definitely will. What's your favorite stat? Chiefs 41 plus time of possession, 8 punts, or 1 for 11 on third down. Quite frankly, it's a tough one for me. My favorite stat is 170 yards rushing, but those two, the 41 plus times minutes time of possession, as well as the third down performance, was incredible. I think some of that has to be due to the state that Drew Brees is in. Let's be honest. He was not his normal self first coming back, but the Chiefs faced an opponent that had all the power they needed to beat him, and they were able to hold him off. That's a positive sign. Natalie, welcome. Member questions coming up a lot. I like it. Louisville, hope you're doing good. Danilo, I don't see in here, but he might make it later. You never know. Greg, Patrick looked hurt after that sack. Any news? He said he was okay, a little banged up is what his post-game presser said. I didn't see Andy's presser from today yet. It's in my queue of things I'll be doing tonight. But I don't think there's anything lasting. I hope that was a wake-up call and they adjust some things so that they don't have to get in that situation again. Aaron, I am glad you made it. Thanks for pointing out. Natalie, you never know when I might miss something. Rich with love is where I'm going, Jeremy. Okay. Okay, Dave made it good. I am glad. Ruthless. What's your opinion on getting Allen Robinson or Godwin in a 2-year deal, if any, if you get any of them? I could possibly see it if the market reflected it, but you got to remember the Chiefs are going to have a hard time getting under the 175, and that's what I'm hearing. It is still going to be maybe 172 even. I don't buy the 190 thing, and I checked with Therese last week. If you guys missed that show with Therese on, go check that out. He's hearing the same thing about 175. So that's where I'm going to stay for right now. And that said, I don't think you can go spend on a free agent wide receiver. You can draft one, but I don't think it's going to be wide receiver that you spend the money on. So I could be wrong. It depends what they do. I think they're more likely to try to bring their own guys back, especially if they make this run it back thing happen. I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you, right? Do you feel comfortable? Sorry, big test. Thank you. Do you feel confident in Bell as the running back going forward? I do. I think he's starting to get used to it. I thought you saw him run his best that he's run as a Chief just yesterday. So I think that's on the upswing, to tell you the truth. Pono, is it far-fetched to think that Brett might go for broke in the draft and rebuild our own line? I mean, go for broke. Again, it all comes down to the firepower he has. If Eric Bieniemy takes a job and you end up with a first, a second, and 3 third-round picks, that could go a long way in getting a couple of linemen. Because I don't think the value is going to be there in the first, certainly, and probably not in the second either, but the third's going to be value for offensive line. I think that's where you can grab them. And if he has that much firepower, I think he could go do it. Scuffed, how are you? And I forgot to tell you guys, tonight's beer is a Vienna Lager from Wibby Brewing in Boulder, Colorado. Cheers to you, Wibby. Watched every live, but oh, hey, that's awesome. Welcome, Scuffed. I appreciate that you're here. I'm glad you made it. Gary, is Robinson really taking a step back as a player? I think he's putting too much pressure on himself. I think he's trying to create big plays because all the other guys are creating big plays. Even Hardman, who's making mistakes considerably as well. I'm frustrated that McCole hasn't improved as much as I thought he would. But he still has the high upside plays. And DeMarcus has had a couple of nice catches, but it hasn't been the big game-changing plays that he's made in the past. So I think he's pushing himself a little farther than he's capable of, and that's what the problem is. Just my 2 cents. Dre, we have no idea. I'm hoping by the playoff games. Thornhill isn't flasting as much. Has his growth leveled off? It has, but because of the injury. I think he played well, and he was doing pretty well pre-bye, and then they kind of shut him down. They're worried about his snaps. They're worried about him making it through to the Super Bowl if they can get there. And I'm having a really, really hard time not saying when they get to the Super Bowl. They are the favorites, but let's not count our chickens. I'm trying to keep myself in check and not assume that they can make a run. They can, but I'm trying not to be arrogant about it. So I do have faith in them, though. Jeremy Bloss, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Neil, come back to me here as I scroll through, and I will try to get you. I can't go any farther back up to find it, unfortunately, in the chat itself. So Neil, come back and hit me with that again. Thank you, Jeremy. Brian Strange, what do the Chiefs need to do long-term for their run defense to reach the level of their pass defense? They need to get linebackers that can play both the run and the pass and not one or the other. And that's what they've been doing. Reggie was a run guy, didn't play the pass well. Hitch is a pass guy, doesn't play the run that great. I think Hitch is more of a medium, of a dual athlete, but they got to get guys that are just more alphas at that level. The passivity is the problem at the linebacker level, in my opinion. Eric Schneider, how many players do you think we rest since the game has no effect on our seed? That's a very good question. And I don't know if they actually rest everybody, as in don't play them, but I think they could kind of take the foot off the gas play somebody for a half or something like that, I think we could see that. And I am going to go back and try to pull up Neil's last super chat because I think I have a way I can get caught up on them real quick without having to beg Aaron to correct me like I always do. And there it is. Yes. Okay. So that is from tonight. Yes. I'm sorry I missed you, Neil. Here is your question. If the Chiefs hold the #1 seed, our first playoff game would be against a 4 or a 5 seed winner. Could this be the Titans, Colts, Ravens? Who should we hope for? Technically, it could be against a 4 or 5, but 2 is going to play 7, so 3 would play 6. So I'd have to see how the bracket actually works out. But Titans, I think they're better able to defend the pass than they were last year against the Titans. A.J. Brown's significant, and they were able to stop Derrick Henry last year. If they can do that again, and I do feel that overall as a team defense, they're better against the run this year than they were last year. I think that that can pay off for them. Colts, they have to watch deep with T.Y., and I think Pittman's a better receiver than we give him credit for. He can win in close battles where he doesn't have that separation. So that's something to look for. And honestly, I'm not sure the Ravens make the postseason at this point, Neil. We could have trouble seeing them at all. Okay, Derek Holland, I missed yours as well. Thank you for the super chat. Running game going forward. I think it's okay. I think you bump up and Stevie Keys, you said the same thing. And the ball off the sausage. So, Stevie, thanks for your super chat, too. Man, I missed a bunch before we even started, evidently, you guys. Yeah, I think you just kind of up everybody a little bit, see who gets the hot hand and kind of ride it, not force things. I think that's the biggest thing, to tell you the truth. Jeremy, I kind of hinted at it, and it'll be out on tomorrow's Locked On Chiefs. I think Snead maybe should have gotten some votes, to tell you the truth. His play has been of that level. His plays has been as good, nearly as good as Marcus Peters when he was a rookie Pro Bowler. So I think it's right up there. Okay, Derek, I got yours now. Stevie, thank you, super member. More likely strategy for Veach, use expected picks for draft volume or move up once or twice in the top 100 to get better players who may fall. I think it's going to be about volume because you still have to lower the foundational dollars that you have to spend going forward because, yes, you can get under the 175, but you have to stay under it in years following as Patrick's and Chris's and Frank's and Tyron's contracts go up. And Tyron's got a new contract that's going to have to get done. I think that it will. Same thing with Ty Hill. There's stuff coming, you guys, that they're going to have to spend more money. So I'm gonna think foundational. I'm going to think lower cost. Only Knives, go big in the draft and draft a stud wide receiver 1 and replace D-Rob with a draft pick. Best defense is a better offense. I don't subscribe to the best defense is a better offense. I think Andy and Veach might, though. So I'm hearing things about some of the guys that were thought to be at the top of the wide receiver heap last year. And from what I understand from every scout, every independent analyst that I know, that I trust, this wide receiver group is going to be as good, if not better, than last year's. So I'm not worried about having to spend a first-round pick or even a second-round pick. I think you can get a third-rounder, possibly a second if you really like somebody that can have an impact. But yeah, remember one thing. If they replace D-Rob, they want to get faster. That's what's crushing the rest of the league. And so if you're going to replace him and let him go, you want to get faster. Firefighter New Orleans has only been known to play dirty in the past. Do you think any of that was going on yesterday? Because it seemed like it. I didn't see anything that looked dirty to me other than, the punch. And I think that Cam probably wishes he had that back. I don't think it's like the days of old when Greg Williams was running that show and there was the bounty system, if that's what you're thinking. I didn't see any of that at all. So that's just my 2 cents, but that is my honest opinion. Spencer, that play with D-Rob stands out to me as the worst in Chiefs all year. Can you think of any that were worse? I mean, I don't know. It's tough. I'm really frustrated with it. And I know that there's some folks in here, there's certain people in the comments, and I don't know if they're regulars or somebody who just stumbled upon last night's stream who want to give us static for us coming down on DeMarcus. Here's the problem. DeMarcus has been doing things like this for a couple of years. Instead of being drops now that he seems to have gotten a handle on, now it's making these backward plays when he isn't, again, a guy that can do that. I think he's just pushing. I think he's trying too hard, and I think his heart is in the right place. but they got to get a handle on that ASAP. Is it far-fetched to consider waiving Fisher or Schwartz, considering their downward spirals to free up cap space? I don't think you're going to have to. I think at some point you're going to have a retirement on your hands here within the next 18 months. And obviously Mitch has missed a lot of time, so you'd lean that way. But no, I don't think you do. The tackles, especially the left tackle, is one of the four most important positions on the field. So you ride that thing till it bucks you, as far as I'm concerned. Sean, thoughts on people saying the Chiefs are vulnerable to if their opposition were healthy? Well, if the Chiefs were healthy too, everybody can say if all they want. At this point in the season, everybody's banged up. Frank Clark elected to the Pro Bowl. What the hell? This is a difference between, and you can't say that it's the fan vote either, because he's certainly not getting hyped up on media, on national broadcasts. This is some recognition for what he does that isn't sacks. It's collapsing the pocket. It's playing the run. It's being a well-rounded defender. And I think it might be a little overhyped, but not much. He is very, very good. I think we lose sight of that sometimes. Dayu. I'm hoping I'm going to pronounce that right. Otherwise, you're going to get mad. But when we see you in the member chats, you'll let me know. Welcome to the memberships. Appreciate you jumping in, and I hope that you find it infuriating and fun. Kevin. Oh, if I click it right, Kevin. 30 out of 32 in opponents' fourth quarter points per game. Do you feel this is a concern? Yeah, I mean, I would love to have that more wrapped up, to tell you the truth. But again, at the end of the day, the Chiefs score well in the fourth quarter as well. So they have to do what they have to do. And it is what it is at this point. There's no new players coming. They can adjust their strategy some, but it's about execution in that fourth quarter. And I do agree, it's something to watch. Sean, how does the loss of Clyde affect the overall run game? You're not going to have those big burst plays, because that's what Clyde does. That I think he has the edge on the other guys. But the run game itself, I think, is going to be about the same. I like what Lev can do, and I think he can take those middling carries and still squeeze something out of them. And I think if you dedicate yourself to hitting the edges, like I've been saying for weeks, and they did last night with a couple off tackle runs and that beautiful option pitch, which I think I will break down on Thursday. Dan's going to have film for Wednesday. I will try to have something for Christmas Eve. We'll try to release them earlier in the day, so you guys can see them without, cutting into family time. If they do that, I think Darryl can be effective too. I don't like them just plowing Darryl into the middle of the line, because he needs a bigger hole than Lev and Clyde do. So that's really where it gets a little problematic. Jimmy's, how are you? Does it look like Neiman does a decent job of putting us in the right defense, but then not so decent job of a particular matchup assignment? I mean, that's what it is. He's challenged. I think he gained weight to try to be better against the run, and it's put him at a disadvantage athletically in the pass, and that's where he's getting beat up the most. So yeah, I would agree with that in some form or fashion. But he's playing because they trust him to control the defense and get it put where it needs to be. So that certainly is why. Let's see. Stevie's, how are you? Yes, I agree with you. I think that's the one that I saw too. Okay, and Aaron got me Neil's and made sure I got that one. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. Neil, I hope you stuck around to hear that one. Let me know down farther. Day to day, how are you? Day you. I'm going to try to say that right. I want to say day to day. Not a question. Well, thank you for the support. I appreciate it very much. And please come back and hit the question too. Gary, what do the Chiefs dominate matchup? The best in the playoffs, in your opinion. What's their best matchup? I mean, I think they'll roll over the Browns. I feel pretty confident about the Titans, given what they did last year. When they have to stop the run and they sell out to do it, they can't accomplish it. It's about whether the pass is then enough of a fear for them to have to play kind of split coverage. That's what I think is the key. So I feel pretty good about those guys. I'd have to look at the rest of the field as well. You've seen them play a lot of the teams that are going to make it. And a lot of talking heads are going to tell you that the Bills are a different team and they can somehow power through the Chiefs now. I don't buy that for a second. So just between you and me. Let's see. Okay, still scrolling. Chiefs were amazing with that line. Yeah, that was an accomplishment. I completely agree. And Will, say Damian decides to come back because of Clyde's injury. Is there any restriction on him returning? Yes, he cannot return. He is not eligible to play until 2021. When you opt out, that is for the season, and it is a done deal. He will not be available. Sharkander was on BJ's show today. That's cool. I like that. Saying he would answer if called upon. Hey, if Sharkandrick, if nothing else, if you have to fill a roster spot, Sharkandrick is a guy to have in the locker room that will lift everyone else up. So I think that is a perfectly viable option. I don't know if they're going to feel that they have a need. If they do, I think that's great. Good for him. And if he is in fighting shape, more power to him. Got to stay healthy because this is exactly the time when playoff teams sometimes need to do that. So good for him. I think it'd be fun to see. And hey, if you guys talk to him or if you're on here, Kendrick, come on here too. I'd love to talk to you. Coach Kyle, what's up with Frank's pass rush? Gave him a JV grade. Yeah, and I broke it down last week. Like some reps are good, some aren't. It doesn't seem like the power's still being delivered. And I even actually asked Therese about that as well. And he said it's just the wearing down, that the injuries stack up on him pretty quick. And like he said, it's always about injuries with Frank. Something's bothering him. It's not anything that's keeping him from playing, but it's certainly not 100%. So that's my thought. Ryan, what have you been saying about 2 to 3 years? And I want to see if you feel the same. D-Rob is flat out afraid of contact. I don't know that he's afraid of contact. I sometimes feel that he's a little concerned about being able to make the catch through contact. He's certainly not afraid in the run game in blocking. He's a solid blocker. But there might be something to that. I don't know. We'd have to talk to him to figure that out. Pono, where is Spags losing it when the defense just disappears after we built a big lead? It's honestly, it's not maintaining aggression. It's not continuing to do the things that got you there. And it's also the fact that offenses can adjust as well. I think they finally get out to a lead, and everything mentally, everybody has a tendency to kind of let up just a little bit. And I think they're fighting through that some. Chris Anderson, Tyreek has 15 TDs. Yes. Do you think that he'll get 20 and join Moss and Jerry? It's certainly possible. I have trouble thinking that it's going to happen, though, because you want to feed Travis as well, get him that yardage record. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how much competition these last 2 games are going to be. The Chargers are always going to play you tough, but does that mean that you're going to have to score 35 or into the 40s? If they do, then there's definitely a chance for that. Okay, Aaron, did you win fantasy? I did. Let me see. I'll even show you guys because I'm kind of happy with the outcome. Oh, and I'm sorry for the not muted text there, folks. I will get that muted there. So, yeah, I'll share this with you. I don't mind. I don't think anybody in my league is going to mind either. We'll go right there. So this is the winner's bracket in my league. And for those of you who don't know, I only play one league anymore. I've been playing this league since 2000. So this has been a very long time. And all these guys are old college friends and that kind of thing for the most part. And this was the semifinal this week. I got the job done. Patrick was not the leading scorer. And so I get to go up against my old pal Mike next week. He's going to pull this out pretty easily, I believe, as they're playing right now. And I don't even have the game on. So, yes, Aaron, I hope that you won as well. I know you were on your way and feeling pretty good, but let me know if you actually pulled that off as well. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you, Brian, and happy holidays to you as well. Abraham, he's got a high ankle sprain and a hip strain, but nothing torn. The MRI, I haven't seen the actual MRI results, but the ligaments seem to be intact and the groin seems to be intact, which I'm amazed by. Agree with you on Ward playing closer to line. Fenton and Sneak can cover the back end. Your thoughts? Yeah. No, I hope you don't mean as safeties. I think Fenton could play like a robber safety, but I don't want him as the free. And I'd like Snead to be still at corner because I think his skill set, while he could play safety, is definitely more useful where he's at. Okay, Thomas. What's the future hope for Bo Peep Keys and DeAndre Baker? DeAndre played 7 snaps on special teams yesterday. I think that's a ramp up. I think hopefully this week, if not against the Chargers, he gets some reps. They got to find out if they have anything they can use from him this season. He's been trying to learn, and that's good. He's playing into shape. That's good as well. So let's see what comes of it. I'm hoping this week he gets on the field on defense. Let's see. Oh, missed Chase's. Chase, is Kelsey the best tight end in the league right now? Yes. All time? Not yet. But he has a chance. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Pretty crazy that Hill saw no snaps yesterday for the Saints. Yeah, at quarterback, you mean, right? I was surprised. They didn't use Kamara like they could have, and they didn't use Hill like they could have. I think that was a mistake on Sean's part. Sean might be saving that for the playoffs as well, just like Andy saves some things too, though. Thoughts on Tajay Sharp? Was impressed a couple seasons ago. I think he has some upside still. I have to see how he fits into this offense. I don't think what he's done in the past can really translate exactly, so we have to see the learning curve. Could he be somebody that comes in and plays a few snaps for him? He definitely could be, as could Jody Fortson. But Jody's more likely to line up as a shifted out tight end or an H. Bert, how are you? It's been a while. Chiefs in the driver's seat. Kyle Brandt's, from Good Morning Football. Yep, Kyle. And Chiefs hater Peter Schrager. Oh, he's such a Chiefs hater. Yes, Peter Schrager, very good comments. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. And I think the K's softened her stance on the Chiefs lately as well. I don't watch that show because of my day job, but Chris watches it all the time on Locked On Chiefs, and that's what he's telling me about. What's holding Fortson back? I don't know. I haven't, without having gone to camp this year and been able to see him, I really just don't know, Chad. I know that they did start practicing him in the tight end room, and so they're switching him back over. Maybe that was part of a physical maturation that he needed. He was skinny for tight end, but he was a little big for wide receiver. He can be a matchup problem. I think he could grow into somebody. He's not as smooth as Kelsey, but I think he has some of the athleticism there. So it may be just a physical maturation thing that he's going through to become a tight end too, and maybe learn some of Kelsey's tricks. I would really love to see that happen. Is Mahomes still on top for the MVP? Morbian, I believe he is. He would have my vote. Aaron Rodgers disagrees, but I'm not sure how many people are with Aaron. So that's that's where we stand right now. With Robinson leaving next season, to be determined, can Pringle and Hardman pick up his slack? I think they can. I want to see Pringle play more. I don't know if the coaching staff feels the same way. Nurse Lover, how are you? Did you see Willie Gay on the punt team? He had no idea he was that fast. How do I know his 40? I don't know his 40 off the top of my head. I would have to pull it back up, but I will tell you this. His long speed was as good or better than Isaiah Simmons because Willie was the number one linebacker in the athletic matrix last year. The stats that I put everything together to make a functional metric to show you athleticism. Willie was better as a linebacker. That's why. And yes, if you go back and you look at the Hardman touchdown as well, Willie's out there leading the way. And he slowed up to make a block. He could have kept pace almost with McCole Hardman. That was really fun to see. Natalie, thank you for your super chat and for being a member. Love seeing all you members in here. That's awesome. Any chance Pringle can take over for D-Rob? I think he can. Again, I don't think Andy does. I think they're going to leave the depth chart as it is, and we're just going to keep seeing D-Rob until he's no longer on the roster. I think the chemistry thing, the locker room thing has something to do with it. I just don't know what the extent is. Okay. Glad you got that, Aaron. Ryan White, I understand he knows the defense, but as far as functional athleticism, Neiman is pretty bad, right? He has definitely taken a step back. He was pretty athletic a season ago, 2 seasons ago. I think I'm not sure what his play weight is right now. They didn't change it this year in the preseason. So a lot of times veterans, they never even update it from the time they're drafted. So I can't tell you, but he looks heavier to me. He certainly looks slower to me. I think the effort to try to become a starter in the base didn't work out. They gave those snaps to Willie. And I think adding that weight slowed him down and made him more susceptible in the pass game. I think that's the problem, is how it looks to me. Scott, DeAndre Baker going to play against the Falcons. Like I said, I hope so, but I can't guarantee it. Eric Schneider, thank you, member. How much do you think the NFL brass wants the Chiefs Packers, Mahomes versus Rodgers? That's a good question. I really don't know. I'm sure there are some that do because of the throwback and the whole, yesteryear kind of thing. But I really don't know. I don't know anybody in the NFL front office personally. The people that I know in the league are not with the league office itself. As of this moment, who are you giving a second contract to, Thornhill or Hardman? Thornhill in a heartbeat. I agree with you. And it's not really even close. No, it's not. The progression, Thornhill was outplaying where McCole is right now. Thornhill was playing better than him before the injury last year as a rookie. Thornhill has hit a bit of a slowing of his progression because of the injury. I think next year he's going to be fine. So long as he doesn't re-injure it, he's going to pick right back up and continue to improve. Clearly, for me, it is Thornhill. Ruthless, do you think that we can get Richard Sherman for cheap and another lockdown quarter since Breeland is going to free agency? Breeland is going to go to free agency. He might turn right back around, sign back with the Chiefs. I don't think he's going to have much of a market. I think the Chiefs appreciate him. And quite frankly, right now, I would take him over Richard Sherman. Do you think that Neiman could be better, or is he an average linebacker? He's an average linebacker with a little bit of upside because he's super smart. He is a smart player. If he can get himself back down to a lower weight and be a true nickel linebacker, I think Willie should be in the base. I think Willie should be in the nickel with Hitch, and Neiman would be the next guy in next season. That's the way it would work if I were in charge. Do we get third rounders this year? They have one. They should get another one for Kendall Fuller, and they might get another one if EB takes a head coaching job. How do the Chiefs obtain field advantage if Pittsburgh wins out like the Chiefs? They have it. The Chiefs are number one right now, no matter what happens with the Steelers. As long as the Chiefs don't lose, they're number one. If they lose to the Falcons, they're still number one, even if the Steelers don't lose. If the Chiefs lose to the Chargers and the Steelers don't lose, the Steelers take the one. That's the way I understand it, and it is because of the conference records. Alan Salas, if Rankin is really healthy and needed the position, could he play at guard or even tackle? He's a better guard than a tackle, in my opinion. The coaching staff does not agree with me. And I frankly don't know that he's healthy enough to put in there in any way, shape, or form. I think if he was, they would have. Okay, I might have missed something because my list just jumped. I want to make sure I'm not missing super chats. Okay, I got Natalie's. Gooch, you made it. I missed yours. Welcome and thank you, sir. Gooch said, smash the like, get a membership. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good plan. And then Adam. Adam, I'm sorry I missed yours. I saw it come in and I didn't get to it fast enough. For the guys that opt out, Williams and Niang, what are they doing to stay in shape? That's a very good question that we don't have an answer to. Can they work out the Chiefs facility? No, they cannot. How much effort will they have? That really depends. That's on them. They can get instruction vicariously from the strength and conditioning staff. That's important for Niang. Williams has his offseason routine. He's a veteran. He knows how to stay in shape. The question is, are they doing that? We won't know until we see them. And I have no way to confirm or deny. So, okay, got caught back up on the super chats. Anybody who super chats me, I don't want to miss you, so I want to do that. I missed some other people in the process. If you would come back and do that, that would be great. Harold, watching from South Africa, good morning. I know it's early. Wow, 3 a.m. I didn't realize it's that early. I'd have to check. So I hope that you're doing well, and thanks for watching. That's incredible. Frederick, thank you for your super chat. In the same vein as the Belichick versus Brady conundrum, would you rather have Reed or Mahomes over the next years? Mahomes in a heartbeat. Andy will eventually retire, but Andy can't make the plays himself. You saw the difference in what Mahomes did from Alex Smith, who's a very good quarterback, but it doesn't give you that top end over the top because he just isn't that kind of quarterback. Andy can only do so much in teaching. The players have to play. Let's see. Scott, Breeland signed next extension. Him and Snead seem like they were good together. Yes, I agree. And it seems like their styles are going to help Snead's development as well. How close are you to quitting your day job and doing this full time? I appreciate that, Yev. I'm a long way off. It's really great, and thank you to you guys for watching and doing the super chats and all that. It's allowed me to bring these guys on and pay them for their time and get a staff together. The next step is to grow the channel, so keep spreading the word and that kind of thing. And eventually, maybe it'll happen. But we're nowhere near. We're out of the red and we're into the black a little bit. But this is by no means making money. I just love doing this. So let's see. Thoughts on Tajay Sharp? Same thing. I just don't know. We'd have to see him and what kind of shape he's in. Josh, I'm glad you made it. No worries on being late. Any chances to see more of that option? I do think that is going to be there. And I think it's an interesting wrinkle. And that's why I want to look at it on Thursday to break it down. Is that's them getting the right look in order to do that where he turns up. The great thing about that is you're gaining yards pre-pitch. Instead of going east-west, which always breaks down that play. So you have to get the right look. You have to have that defensive end be the guy on the edge. If you have an outside backer or safety walked up on the outside of him, that ruins that play. And so you saw Kelsey kind of duck around to go get his block. That's because that was the seal block that they had to have in order to get the yardage. If they get that look again, I think that will be on. And there are other wrinkles that they can run off of it as well. Okay, let's see. Trying to hit questions here. Jimmy's, how are you? Saw something from Ryder that I hadn't seen before. Last several minutes, he was in the huddle up, amped up, hollering at the guys to finish and dig deep. I've never seen that from him before. I haven't seen it from him either, and I missed that. So good catch, and I'm glad that you did. I'll go back and try to find that because that would be a needed development, to tell you the truth. Okay, let's get here. Day. Okay, I like that. Who is a must re-sign for us in free agents? Who should go after in free agency? Free agency is going to be thin, but I think a linebacker could be available, and interior offensive line is a must in the free agency market. The Chiefs free agents, there's a ton of them. There's 23 free agents coming. All the defensive ends except for Frank and Mike Dana. So if you like one of them, maybe go get them. Do you bring back K-Pass? K-Pass should be cheap, so that might be worth it. I think you bring back Breeland. I think you let Ward walk because Ward will land on a roster, and he will get you a compensatory pick, is my thought. So you guys know how I feel about him. I'm not here to argue about Ward. That's what I would do. Wouldn't be surprised. Oh, sorry. And thank you for the super chat, Day. And I'm just going to say Day, I think. Wouldn't be surprised if Clark is still suffering from the neck injury from last season. Yes, and you have a very good point. It's easy to re-injure those. Once you have a nerve that is susceptible, that has been injured, it is easily re-injured as well. And I think that could be part of what I see in the difference in his game is every now and then he has explosive takeoff still, at least explosive for him. It's not D Ford. It's not Von Miller. But I don't see him delivering the power and jacking guys up, especially with the pole arm that we've seen in the past. So I do think something's going on there. It's a good observation, Cole. Gooch, thank you, sir. You're old enough to remember the 13-3 teams of Rich Gannon. Is there a bad feeling seeing similarities with injuries and lack of focus? There should be. I will say this is old Gannon did not have the ability to overcome those like Mahomes does. And I agree with you. I was there in those days too. I actually started following the team when I was in college. That was 92. 92. So I've been there in the old days too. And yes, you guys, I'm double fisting here, tea and beer. Because I'm in that zone where I switch over and I'm just not switching fast enough. Thank you, Gooch, for your super chat as always. Let's see who's next. Frederick, thank you for the super chat. Man, that's 2 in a row. I like it. What's your opinion on resting players in the bye if the bye gets locked up? That's a different situation from what we talked about before. And I like that a whole lot better. I would certainly give Fish the day off and Patrick and Kels, depending on where he is. I would also say that it allows you room to get other players in. So maybe you let Breeland rest. In fact, we're going to talk about that. We already recorded a piece for tomorrow's Locked On Chiefs where we discussed that. And the veterans, you get rest for the veterans, but you're also getting the super young guys like Bo P. Keys and Baker some experience, and I think that's going to be important. And yes, Baker's played in the league, played for the Giants quite a bit actually, but he hasn't played in this system, so that's something to keep an eye on. Scott, is Schwartz going to be able to play soon? I don't know. I hope so. Neil, you're back. Thank you again, and thank you for another super chat. I think our defense has another level that we will see during the playoffs. Big playmakers, Jones, Clark, Matthew will show in the stretch. I do. I feel like that as well. I feel like part of the problem with Frank is also got an eye on playing a 19-game season. He knows that they have the ability to go 3 games deep in the playoffs and win another Super Bowl. So I feel like maybe part of this whole thing has been prolonging the ability to make it all the way through and not hit a wall. You had a long season last year. You had no OTAs. It's kind of harder to get started. Like the beginning of the season was harder physically on guys. I think maybe that's part of this as well. Good observation, and thank you for the super chat. Bruce, how are you? I like seeing the DBs pressing the wide receivers. Why aren't they doing that more? That is, I wish I had an answer for you. I would be doing that quite a bit more, and I would be doing some of it every week. They don't seem to be comfortable with that, and I think it's just for the propensity for when you do lose in that situation, you lose big, and I think it's just trying to play it down so that you don't expose yourself and you get Patrick the ball back. Let's see. Stu, how are you? I appreciate that. Very kind of you. What are you most discouraged about and most encouraged about heading into the playoffs? I am encouraged that the defense stepped up as a team. Did they get a huge pass rush? No, but they got an incremental improvement, and the secondary is really starting to ball out. 9 PBUs, 2 weeks running. That's important. In fact, that's one of the stats I'll break down in tomorrow's video. I'll try to put that up a little bit early, maybe around lunchtime in KC. And just try, because it's a Christmas week, to try to get that out a little bit earlier. But that is encouraging. I am discouraged by the fact that they're still not closing teams out. And I had the expectation that Patrick would be able to drive that a little bit more, even if Andy isn't. And I do see that from time to time, but it's not enough for me yet. And I think they're treading on some thinner ice. What happened last year when you saw the Ravens sat everybody one and done? That's true. I think this is a more veteran team, and I think playing that deep into the playoffs last year still has an effect on this year. Rodgers and Mahomes co-MVPs? No, Keaton, I don't think that's going to happen. Somebody's going to get it, and I think it will be Patrick, but that's just mine. But thank you, as always, member. Welcome to the memberships again, if I didn't get you last night. What are you looking for most in these last 2 games of the season? What's the goal? The goal is to win handily and keep teams down, and for the defense to close out, be able to run the ball a little bit more effectively down the stretch in the second half, and not let teams creep back in that shouldn't. Atlanta and Los Angeles should not be able to creep back into these games. That's the sign of a dominant team. That's what we need to see. Can I ask you how you became a Chiefs fan? I was born in it, much like Kingdom was. That's very true. And the truth is, I was a Jayhawks fan first. I transferred from school in Washington State to come play at KU. And I did that. And in the process, got into Chiefs Kingdom, started following the team. A couple of players, were friendly to me at the time. I was a terrible football player. I just didn't have the athleticism, and I fell off the cliff, and so I became coach. And that's when I really got into it. I interned for the Chiefs back in the day in the strength and conditioning department, and that is really what sold me. So that is it, Ryan. Let's see. Lucky Croc, how are you? Thank you again. 2 days in a row. Speaking of the sausage, I notice he almost always chilling next to Andy on the sideline. Therefore, might he be soaking it all and eventually join the staff? It's a nice thought. It is a nice thought. And I feel like he's a guy that could probably do that. I have never interviewed him, so I haven't had a one-on-one conversation with him, but he is always there. And I'll tell you the other thing that's really interesting too. When they walk out of the tunnel, he's always next to Patrick. It's like a personal protector the whole way to the field kind of thing. And I think that's as much about vibe and the locker room as it is about anything else. Sherm's usage is clearly more on special teams and has been for quite a while. And he takes that seriously. He puts out good effort. And I think honestly, he would perform better if he got a few more touches more consistently. That's my qualm there. No, Scott, that was, I've heard it was pickle juice. I haven't gotten confirmation from anyone with the organization on that, though. My thought was it was really concentrated Gatorade to try to replace those electrolytes. They were using the therapy gun on him to try and loosen up that hamstring, keep him loose. Just fighting off cramps is my thought. Do you find yourself getting bored watching Mahomes improvise? Not bored, but my wife says that I've stopped reacting to these things that I should be going crazy about because we're all getting used to it. So that is a very good way to look at it. Kansas Carolina, how are you? What has to happen for us to lose the top seed? The Chiefs have to lose to the Chargers. If they lose to Atlanta because they're in the NFC, it won't affect anything. And that would be as it is right now. But if the Steelers lose again too, then it doesn't matter at all. Do you think Darwin can get any carries? I think he can, especially now. He'll be that third back in the rotation. It just depends on the gameplay and whether they need to or not. So let's see. What has to happen for us to lose top speed? Oh, wait, Stevie. Okay, I just said the same thing. Sorry about that, Stevie. Let's see. I see you guys talking about this. Yeah, if you guys look it up on NFL.com, it'll tell you. 4.46 sounds about right to me. I know he was faster than 4.5. I just can't remember the exact number. I'll pull it up. And if you guys didn't get the Matrix last year, I don't know that I have the raw numbers in there, but I tell you what, for everybody in here, when we get back, I'll put a code up, or maybe I'll throw it in the comments, give you guys a free look at the athletic matrix from last year so you can go download that. And it's all in there, and you'll see how he stacks up. I put a ton of work in that. I've been developing that for over 10 years from my strength and conditioning days. And Jeff Porter is a big help in researching all of that with me. So shout out to Jeff Porter. I appreciate that. Let's see who else. Scrolled too far as always. Okay, Daryl. Oh, Thomas Roebuck, I missed your super chat, but it looks like you didn't ask a question either. So ask me something, Thomas, and thank you for the support. I appreciate that. Let's see, Daryl. Do you think the way our defense is, do you think they can repeat? Yes, absolutely. This defense is better statistically than it was last season. Yes, they gave up a lot of points yesterday, but that was the Saints. That's a very good offense. They have given up less points this season than they did at this point last season. And that's really the metric that counts in the end. And so I do think that it is about that overall. So yes, I definitely think they can repeat, especially quite frankly, they've beaten most of the top teams. Bucks were thought to be a top team. Saints have been a top team. They haven't played Green Bay. Okay, fair enough. They've beaten the Bills. They've beaten the Ravens. They haven't played the Steelers. So there's two teams that are question marks there. But quite frankly, I think they are farther ahead of this pack this year than they were in 2019. Scott, could you see Veach trying to get one of the O-linemen from Miami? Your thoughts? I'm not so sure. In general, I wouldn't go after Miami guys only because they tend to play with power, and I don't think they're the athletic profile that the Chiefs are really looking for. Aaron, oh, okay, thank you for getting me Ramuna's question. What's up, buddy? Do you think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a loss for the Chiefs, or do you think that we have weapons to go without him? They certainly have weapons, but he is a loss. You can see how he creates, and Tony Romo really pointed out just how much for a small guy, 5'7", he's able to move the pile when he's engaged. Now, his teammates are helping him out, pushing the pile as well, but you don't see that from everybody else. He definitely has traits, and he can squeeze into holes that even Lev Bell can't fit into, and both of them can get into holes that this O-line creates that Darryl can't get through because Darryl's a bigger, wider guy. So he definitely has upside, but they have the tools to use it. Trav, do you think that we can pick up a running back O-line injuries and ride it out? I don't think there's much out there to pick up, man. If they could elevate somebody from their practice squad, but that's about it. They might go hunting on somebody else's practice squad if they're really desperate, but I don't think they are. Tactics, how are you? Andy replayed one of the hottest games ever in Dallas. Many Cowboys cramped up in the heat, but the Eagles didn't because their trainer brought pickle juice. Correct. That trainer was Rick Burkholder, who is now the VP of Player Health and Performance. So, yeah. For those sinewy muscles, isn't DK Metcalf being 225 underwhelming? He's lighter than Megatron and not much bigger than Terrell. I guess I don't really pay attention to that. The dude's built, that's for sure. But I didn't really pay attention to what it is per pound. I don't really care if you move, 5 pounds heavier or not. If you move like that, and he moves really well in a straight line. And for those of you that are asking, should they have taken him over McCole? DK Metcalf can't play in this offense. He doesn't do over routes. He doesn't do pivot routes. He doesn't do a lot of things. He's a straight line guy that's learned to run a slant, and he's learned to run a post corner. Those are some things he can't play and run the route tree that this offense requires. So, yeah, I don't really think about him that much. Ryan, next year's schedule will have AFC South teams and the AFC East. I love that schedule. Yeah, I think that's a positive, to tell you the truth. Keaton, I got you earlier. I think this was the same thing. No, I don't think they're going to have Co. I think somebody will win it. As predicted, Houston, Justin, you had just one good year with the Colts and then flounders. Would we have won having kept him? No. And not because of his performance. I think this locker room needed a total revamp and needed a lift. And I don't think Justin was in a position to do that. Just my thoughts. And I love Justin Houston. I called for him to be drafted exactly where he was, and he's a guy that I rode a long ways on that. Do you have your band's music posted anywhere? We do. You can see our YouTube page. There's not a ton on it, but that's Canyon Creek Band. And I took my single down. There's a couple of songs that I've written and recorded, and the band's recorded one. It's called Canyon Creek, and I took it down a while ago. Just because I wanted to refresh the cover art, and I've never gotten around to doing that. And with this year, the band's been hiatus. We haven't played a gig. We played one gig in January. That's all we played. So I will get you that, and I'll get that posted early in the new year. If you guys like country music, country rock, that's what we do. But check out Canyon Creek Band here in the search menu. And I actually have some new stuff that from one of our gigs that we videoed like over a year ago now that I do have to edit up. I'll try to let you guys see some of that too. Spicy. I don't know if we should pay Breeland. Every time we pay someone, they regress. That's a fair point. It happens a lot around the league, and it is always something that you have to kind of buy into and get to feel comfortable with. Ruthless. Any news on Breeland injury during the game, and Lev Bells were both just banged up? Yeah, Breeland's fine from what I understand, and Lev said he was feeling good, so I don't think there's anything lingering. Would you rather have an all-pro pass rusher or an all-pro offensive lineman? For Mahomes, I'd rather have a tackle. I would take an all-pro pass rusher next, and guards after that. Let's see. Scott, is it me or do teams literally have poor sportsmanship when Chiefs are kicking butt? I mean, everybody gets frustrated, especially I think it's harder for the teams that are good because they especially for a team like yesterday, a team like the Saints who hadn't seen him in person before, and you're running along and you're feeling good about where you are because you're beating all these other teams, and then you come smack dab into these things that he does that you can't control. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I can understand how people get frustrated. Okay, I'm just searching for the questions, folks. We're almost to the hour, so I want to make sure I get everybody. If you have one, hit question marks at the beginning for me. I got Daryl's. Okay, it looks like I still have one super chat to get to. I want to make sure that I do that. Neil Burton, is John Alt still playing when you were in college? John Alt was still playing. I believe so. Yes. Yeah. I'm pretty certain about that. I'd have to go back and check. It sucks getting old, I got to tell you. Let's see. Questions. Hey, look at this. I'm catching up, you guys. Anybody in here a fan before 93? I know there's some. A lot of you guys go back a long ways farther than that. Top tier teams we might face in the playoffs, and who is the most challenging AFC competition right now? Challenging AFC. The Bills have improved. They might be it. I'm not sold that the Steelers are everything they're cracked up to be, but I will say this. Their receiving trio is the real deal and will give the Chiefs some problems, particularly Chase Claypool. For those of you that are here during the draft process, you remember exactly what I told you then. He is a tough matchup, especially if you're talking about having to put Ward on him because he can elevate better than Ward can. He finds the ball better than Ward can, and he's faster than Ward. Breeland will hold him, so I don't think you have to worry about him getting away as much. Breeland's a crafty veteran. I think they'll have to play him over the top. you might be tempted to put Snead one-on-one, and that might be a matchup you can win. It just depends where they line him up, because they'll put him in the slot too. Eric, there we are. I go back to the Steve Fuller Levy days. You win. I know, folks. There's a bunch of folks that have been there. I was squarely in the Marty range when I became a fan. So how much greater appreciation for this? That's true. I would say so. Though I would love to see Albert Lewis and Carrock type DB group. Yes. I mean, I miss James Hasty, so I know exactly where you're coming from. Brian, with CH injury, will Darwin get any carries? Yeah, I think I got you before. I think I'm just behind here in the chat. I think he definitely could. It depends on the game flow. Let's see. Brian, really cool backstory on how you became a fan. Oh, cool. Thanks. Thanks for what you're doing, being so personal. I try. People get tired of it, but I appreciate y'all watching it. And I'm glad you're here, Ryan. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, man, Marty Ball. Yeah, what a ways we've come, right? Okay, I'm scrolling, trying to find more questions. Okay. Man, you guys are doing great. There's a ton of chat in here. Eric, would you prefer a bigger wide receiver like Kadarius Toney? I haven't done his film, but I have heard his name, especially since I'm not sure how much Hardman will develop. I don't necessarily have to have a bigger guy. I have to have a guy that can cut and that can run. If you can run sub 4.4, then you're in the range that I'll take. But you have to be able to change direction in this offense. That's what's key. So I'll have to see his numbers before I can decide, Eric. Lean on your experience. My son will be DPD and have a certain athletic training. That's awesome. What do you think his chances are to work for a pro team like the Chiefs? It's really about getting to know people. Go volunteer. If he's in college still, he has the time. That's what I did. Go volunteer. Try to get in there. When they open training camp up a lot, that's when you can get an internship. That would be my suggestion. That is the easiest way. I did that, and I still wasn't able to get into the league as a paid position. So it is definitely an uphill battle. I will tell you that. What's the word in Colorado after Denver took that beat down? You know, it's been very quiet so far. I think they're really coming to a conundrum about what they're going to do with Drew Lock and whether they have to move elsewhere. I think you could see Sam Darnold out here eventually. It seems like the kind of guy that John Elway would like. I don't know. Let's see who else. Bruce, thank you. I appreciate the super chat. I wonder if you have a comment right below it or something. I'm not seeing it, so hit me up again before we sign off. Questions. Float pool. This is going to be yeah, hey, that is a very good point. There are things about it, you know, that you can miss and you can take away, and some of us appreciate the run game still. I think a lot of that was because of those days. Daryl, thank you. I will be at training camp if it's open to the public this year. I will be getting vaccinated. I will tell you that. So will the rest of my family. I work in an industry that will be distributing that vaccine. I do work in healthcare for my day job, you guys. So I have confidence in the scientists, not the rushed process. I do feel like it was rushed, but this is the first step in getting first responders and doctors and nurses able to be safe and treat everyone. That's the key to getting them rested so you can get people out of the hospital faster. And all that goes into, if we're good and on track, then I will be at training camp like I usually am. I'm actually feeling pretty good that the 1 year that I decided preemptively that I wasn't going to go because of this, that they ended up canceling and not letting people in anyway. So, I feel like I dodged something there. So I can actually say that I didn't miss a camp because they didn't have it this year, right? Okay, Drake. Appreciate all you guys and have a Merry Christmas. And to you, to what degree do you think that the addition of Niang, ODT, and Assembly, some mid-round draft talent, would help the picks in next year's O-line? I think it would be great. Niang's a total question mark. We don't know about his rehab or his conditioning since he's been out, but I think they believe in him, and I'm optimistic about that. I think they brought him in here to be the replacement for Mitch Schwartz eventually. LDT, I still think can play. This year off, hopefully we'll have him recharged as well. Assembly's a big question mark too, man. Like, I don't know if he's going to recover from that. we might have seen the end of his career. I haven't seen any prognosis on it, but I'm hopeful because I would like to see those guys. I think that you can get more power. I think you can get a better run game with those guys if they can come back. I think that would be great. I believe Assembly is on a 1 year, so that would take some doing. Bruce, there we are. Okay, I want to make sure I got you for that one. Thoughts on the pass from Mahomes to Hardman in the corner of the end zone? I thought it was great. And people will tell you that it's difficult, which it definitely is, but you have to remember too, Patrick is aiming for a spot, not a player. He's putting it like a foot inside the pylon and from the end line. That's his target. And he's able to throw accurately that way. So I think that was a great throw and it happened to work out. In fact, if you look at the replay, he catches it and Sammy goes through. Sammy didn't even know the ball was there. He looks around as though it hadn't happened. So that tells you just what kind of mustard was on it too. I think that says a lot as well. Tim, how are you? I appreciate that. And so do all the guys. I'm sorry that Dan couldn't be on tonight, but we all appreciate you guys being here. It feels like we're talking with pals these days. You know, it's not like it's not broadcasting or anything like that. So I appreciate all of your thoughts. And with that, I think, we have one more question. Yeah, if we started with you, I think we'll finish with you. Do you see Drew Lock as Patrick's backup? I do not. I don't think Drew Lock will do well as a non-starter. I think he expects to be a starter. I think his confidence would be crushed if he were not, and I don't think he's going to be any good to anyone that way. I think he is a starter material, and I think he needs a coaching staff that can develop him. I think he needs to have an offensive guy be the head coach as well as a coordinator and a quarterback coach, and I think he can develop. I do like his talent, and I hope that he becomes a little more humble through this process. I think he is that's something that can help him, I think. So that said, Merry Christmas to all of you. Happy Hanukkah for any of you that don't celebrate Christmas. I don't want to leave anyone out. So enjoy your holidays. We'll have film and reviews, etc. this whole week. Worst case, we'll be live on Friday for the game plan or Saturday morning. We're going to try to pre-record it because, quite frankly, on Christmas Day, I need to be with my family. So, and we'll put the videos out a little bit earlier so that for those of you on Christmas Eve and that kind of thing, you don't have to. You can get caught up earlier than that, or you can just come back to it whenever. So, everyone have a safe holiday. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your family, and you'll see me. And then we'll be back to normal come next game day. You guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time.